The Director General of the Department of State Security, DSS, Tosin Ajayi, has reiterated the agency's commitment to upholding human rights by releasing 12 detainees in July, including one individual who had been held since 2022. Among the notable cases was that of Abdul Yakini Salisu, a quarry operator who was mistakenly arrested on the Zuba-Kaduna Expressway. Upon reviewing his case, the DSS acknowledged the error and promptly released Salisu, offering him 10 million naira in compensation and lifetime access to medical care. This marks the third major release under Ajayi's leadership following the release of 11 individuals arrested in Osun State on terrorism-related charges earlier in July. For more on the DSS's move towards human rights accountability, evidenced by the release of 12 detainees and the compensation awarded to a bereaved family, human rights lawyer Deji Adeyanju joins us at this time. Deji Adeyanju, Barrister Deji Adeyanju, it's great to have you join us on Newsday today. Let's talk. Let's begin with your thoughts on this decision.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. The new DSS leadership saying that they want to do things the right way and possibly correct the wrongs. What are your thoughts on this?
Yes, basically, the case of the Kaduna businessman Salisu is a case that I actively participated in. And I've also participated actively in securing the release of some of the detainees who have stayed very long in custody of the DSS, some as long as 2019. Some of our clients who are who were in custody of the DSS, who have now been released to us after a lot of human rights appeals to the new Director General, and haven't secured a release. Some have been charged to court, and it's a welcome development indeed that in a very long time, the DSS seems to be giving a lot of regard for human rights and respect for rule of law under this new leadership. It is commendable. There's also the issue about this, our client who was just released last week, and who compensation was paid to, and further commitments have been made to support his business and also to continue to help to provide medical support for him. So for us, we're excited. I've had the rare privilege of meeting the DG, and in my first encounter with meeting the DG, with respect to a client, which I will not want to go in detail about, because I've not obtained the consent of our client to discuss and learn this matter. And the first thing he told me very clearly was that he respects our views as critics and as human rights defenders, and that he will do his best, as long as he remains DG, he will do his possible best to ensure that the human rights of citizens are respected and that the rule of law is respected. You know, alas was the case before this current leadership of the DSS. A lot of court decisions and court judgments were disobeyed, flagrantly disobeyed, and people were being detained for long periods of time. And another thing that I think has caught my attention with this new leadership of the DSS, though we still have a lot of clients. I'm making an appeal today, and again, for 3 of our clients who are still in custody, efforts are underway to discuss their possible release. There are other clients that have also been released to us, but I must also mention the fact that this DG has complied with the order of the Federal High Court as regards to the compensation of a victim that was shot in Jos. He was shot, if you could recall, he was shot in 2016, and an award of 10 million naira was made by the court for him to be awarded to him, but it was never obeyed. But that judgment has now been complied with. The 10 million naira was paid in compensation as rightly awarded by the court, and a further additional 10 million naira was added. And also free medical support has been promise to him. So it is indeed very commendable. Our job as critics and as human rights defenders is not only to be screaming and be shouting on top of our voice when the wrong thing is being done. When the right thing is being done, we should also commend, and this is one of those forums where, yes, indeed, the right thing is being done. A lot still needs to be done. We have so many in the past, so many Nigerians have been detained under the guise that they're members of IPOB. Many people were arrested under Deji for no just reason. People were just being arrested and detained 2018, 2019. How can you detain people for 6 years without trial? So the current DG has promised that there's going to be a lot of effort to release people who have done long stay. It's an ongoing process, and we commend the commitment of this new DG to respect human rights.
Absolutely.
And rule of law.
Absolutely, Deji. You giving that example of a man who was shot in 2016 and just being compensated almost 10 years later really shows how things degenerated in the DSS. But like you said, the DG of the DSS is moving in a good direction. In terms of collaboration,
indeed,
what level of support do you think needs to be added in order to make what he's working towards easier to realize and more efficient?
Yes, people who have relatives in custody must come forward. Do you understand? Because if people have been detained for long periods and nobody knows about them, it's people that come to our office and make these complaints, and this is the reason why we go and we push and we advocate and we plead, and we make an appeal. Even today, a letter of appeal has been written to the DG, you understand, on a husband and wife that have been in custody, I think since 2021 or 22 thereabout. So the process is continuous. So the people must have faith and confidence that, the right thing is now being done, and that there's a transition, there's an attempt at hygiene at the DSS. And, people more critical stakeholders like lawyers, human rights defenders, development partners like the United States, the UK, and others must also partner to create the enabling environment to ensure that the attempt at hygiene is holistic. If certain things were done in the past wrongly, and now corrections are being made by this new leadership, then they deserve the support, institutional support. I also believe that on this particular one, the president got it right. I'm not someone that praises the government at all, but on this particular appointment of the DG, I think the president has really, really, really gotten it well, and the president must be commended for this appointment. For instance, the case I cited on the Just one and our client that was just released, the businessman from Kaduna, if we had said, we had successfully secured his release, and we had now said, we want to fight with the DSS, we are going to court, we are going to sue them for fundamental rights and this, it takes time. And even if we win and we get compensation for damages, in line, you will still be faced with the hurdle of the provision of the Sheriff and Civil Processes Act, Section 84, sub 1 to 3, that says that even when we have gotten judgment, we must get the consent of the Attorney General of the Federation. Consent that is almost practically very hard, almost near impossible to get. So it will take years before we cross that hurdle. Now, the DG has said, after the advocacy and appeals of these people, I have seen that we were wrong. We have admitted that we are wrong. We must do the right thing. We must compensate the victim. So the victim has been compensated, and also the case in Jos, something that was done since 2016. The judgment was given in 2016. It was never complied with. Now it has been complied with. Other people, other development partners, lawyers, human rights defenders, people that have such cases should come forward, and let's see how most likely the appeal should be made for the service to help in complying with some of these judgments, and so that justice is seen to be served and justice is done to the victims.
All right, well, Deji, Adeyanju, thank you so much for your insights on this conversation. Just before we let you go, let's talk about balancing national security needs with protecting citizens' fundamental human rights. How do we do this?
Yes, you see, even the courts have held that whenever the two conflict or collide, that we must lean towards ensuring citizens' rights are respected, while it is considered that national security must be protected because, in fact, if there's no national security, there will be no nation. But critical stakeholders are urged and employed that at all times that we should try to balance the interests, because the reason why government exists in the first place, the principal responsibility of government as encapsulated in Section 14 of our Constitution is the protection of lives and property. However, that the reasonable man test must be what must be applied in ensuring a balance and that the two can cohabitate collectively and holistically in such a way that it will be for the greatest good for the greatest number. And that in the application of the national security, contextually speaking, that security agencies should use the Ubuntu theory that exists because for one another. In doing so, citizens' rights will be protected within the ambit of the rule of law, and national security interests will also be captured. But that citizens must collaborate, citizens must cooperate, citizens must ensure that safeguarding the nation is a collective responsibility, because the security agencies, whether it be the police, the DSS, the army, immigration, customs, they alone cannot get the job done. That it's a collective responsibility.
I'm certainly glad that I get to, as a Nigerian, that I get to witness this reformation in the DSS during my lifetime. But now we'd like to thank you for your insightful analysis. As always, human rights lawyer Deji Adeyanju, many thanks for joining us here on News.